calls for HMRC to act after tens of thousands of people across the UK were left living in fear of bankruptcy after joining a workplace scheme. We speak to one of those affected. Hello, welcome back. Now, around 50,000 people are being hit with tax bills of potentially tens of thousands of pounds after a recent crackdown on so-called loan schemes. Now, these schemes work by paying people with tax-free loans, which are not expected to be repaid, rather than a conventional income. HMRC says it's never approved such schemes, but many affected workers maintain they had no idea that HMRC didn't believe the schemes worked. Gurpreet Narwan reports.
It's an almost existential threat. You know, you work hard for things like your home and your security, and when you don't know whether tomorrow you're going to get a letter that's going to take that away from you. After the late payment fees were applied, it was 24,000.
Michael, a healthcare worker, has fallen foul of the loan charge. He, like tens of thousands of people, were paid salaries through schemes that promised to take care of their taxes. But in 2017, the government introduced a new law allowing HMRC to demand tax from people whose employers did not, in fact, pay it.
Has emerged.
Lawyers say the loan charge was not fair from the start.
When the contractors were paid, the PAYE rules applied and were meant to ensure that tax was deducted from salary before it was received by the workers. That PAYE was not paid. The workers suffered a deduction, but that was just simply taken as fees by the promoters of the schemes, which were running rather dubious tax avoidance arrangements without the contractors' knowledge.
So why isn't HMRC going after the promoters of these schemes? It's a question that MPs have been asking.
What should happen is that the HMRC, if it thinks it's owed the money, should go back to the promoters, go back to the contractors who insisted on these terms and say, you can pay at least your share, if not the whole burden. But they're not doing that. And I'm afraid, in my view, they've made a massive ethical error in not doing so.
HMRC says it is responsible for collecting the tax that people owe, but that it has support in place to help people like Michael settle their bills.
HMRC is not out of pocket, the umbrella companies aren't out of pocket, the agencies that pushed it aren't out of pocket. It's only the end worker, and we're just normal people.
Michael is trying to move forward, but others have had their lives ripped apart. Marriages have broken down, and the loan charge has been linked to at least 10 suicides. Campaigners say now is the time for action. Gurpreet Narwan, Sky News.
Gurpreet reporting there. Well, we can get a bit more on the story and speak to Jai, who was asked to pay tens of thousands of pounds by HMRC. Thanks so much for being on the programme. It's really an astonishing story. Now, this all started when you were working, I think, as a freelance IT contractor. Is that right?
Right, yes. Thank you for having me come on your show today. Yes, I was part of this, well, an umbrella company, we used to call it, in my early days. So I was pretty young, enthusiastic. I just wanted to get on with work and build my career. And one of the options was, well, the only options were when you're a freelancer is you either operate for an umbrella company or you work through a limited company. So for me, being a young guy, I don't know how to run a company. I don't know the ins and outs, you know. I just want to get on with work. You know, I've got bills to pay like everybody else. So you take the easy option, and that is working via an umbrella company.
Yeah, makes sense. You think it's all been sorted. You can just focus on what you do, your day job, right? I get that. What then happened?
So in 2017, I'd say, at least 2016, 2017, all of a sudden I get a letter saying you've been part of a tax avoidance scheme from the years of 2007 to 2010, which we are now investigating. So the first thing that comes to me is panic, to think, what, this doesn't sound right. I've paid all my taxes. I've always paid it on time. I've never been late. And I've made sure that everything I do is correct. Well, that's what I'm paying the umbrella company for. And it was just absolute panic, really, from that point onwards. And I'd be getting multiple letters from HMRC saying, you've been part of it, do you want to settle? Common sense is yes, so yes, I do want to settle. Please tell me how much I owe.
And how much did you owe?
So at the time it was 26,000. So yeah.
How much money were you earning at that time as well?
I was on the bottom end of my career ladder, so I was in the region of about 25,000, I suppose, before tax.
So they're basically asking you. They're saying that you need to pay your whole annual salary to them. I mean, that's scary.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much what it amounts to. Plus, you've got to remember, they do add on interest as well, and they add on penalties, you know, for paying late. So it does mount up. Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned quite a few things on your report there about the breakup of marriage. I mean, I'm glad, you know, I haven't gotten that path, but in terms of obviously mental health, stress on the family, my health, you know, obviously the anxiety that builds up, not just for me, but obviously for all the other consultants and contractors around the country that have also been hit, that also has impacted, and it still does, because I'm still in a limbo. I'm trying to settle, and I'm just going constantly in circles at the moment, trying to resolve it. I'm using accountants, which is obviously an extra cost to me. I'm using tax consultants, you know, to advise me, and it's it's still ongoing. It's still frustrating because they won't speak to anybody that you know, in terms of specialists that I'm trying to get them to speak to and, you know, agree a plan and try and close it. It's like, no, we only want to speak to Jay, but then they don't speak to me. So very frustrating and stressful times ahead still.
Sounds really stressful. As you say, you know, unresolved. You know, what's your message to any politicians tonight?
I think my message is, we all understand tax and we all want to pay our tax. You know, we're all professionals are law-abiding citizens as well as non-professionals. I think because this is historical, I think there just needs to be some common sense and some fairness and some compassion as well. You know, we've had 10 suicides. That's not going to end. I'm sure that number will go up, and it's going to keep on going up, and lives will be tarnished unless, you know, some common sense and compassion is used to say, okay, fine, you've got this tax to owe, let's come to an agreement and let's just get on with it and just close the cases for everybody, not just for me.
I'm really sorry that this has happened to you. It sounds unbelievably stressful, and, you know, my very best wishes to you in trying to get it all sorted out. Thanks for talking to us this evening.
No, thank you. Thank you for calling me in.
Right, let's get the thoughts of Nick and Gina, shall we? Poor guy. I mean, it just sounds like a nightmare.
Just shaking with anger. I mean, it's just, I have to say, so we're going back to 2017, and at the time, we all knew it was wrong. Everybody that spoke about this knew it was wrong. Every politician, APPPG, everyone knew that this was wrong, that you can't go after the individuals. They did nothing wrong. It was the agencies, the umbrella companies, you know, that's the people they should have gone after. But, you know, the money that's now being, they want to claw back, and they're bullying these people by saying, if you don't pay it, we'll make you a bankruptcy, you'll put you into bankruptcy. They're adding on 45% interest to some of these loans. And they're saying, HMRC is saying to them, go out and get another loan to pay these loans. The level of inhumanity is just breathtaking to me, and just, you got to sort it out. It's a bit like the post office scandal. Why does the ordinary, hard-working person at the bottom have to, there's something culturally wrong in this country. Why is it not the institutions, the businesses, the big boys getting away with it who made all the money and the profit? And yet the hard-working, ordinary people are losing their lives over this.
And he's not earning a lot of money. That's the thing that gets me. Like 26, 27,000, you know.
As Gina just said, we know that ITV had a massive hit on its hands with Mr Bates versus the Post Office. I would suggest scriptwriters watching now on Sky News, you've probably got the next Mr Bates versus the Post Office this. But to Gina's broader point, it's almost like we're waking up in some horrific nightmare in which the state can unblinkingly take these decisions. Because you rightly referenced the post office. We've now heard... I mean, there's the tainted blood scandal. It seems time after... Now, either... Sophie, it's a good thing that we now live in an age where all these stories can be revealed, which, you know, we should celebrate that.
That's true.
Or, it is good, it is... But the other side is, dear God, how many others do we not know about waspy women? How many are there where these innocent folk are always the victims? It's really chilling.
You've got the excluded as well, the 3 million, who worked hard and paid their taxes, and apparently HMRC didn't have records of them. It's on and on and on. But, you know, when I say there's something culturally wrong here, it's also, if people can make mistakes, things can go wrong, you put your hand up, you say you got it wrong, and you fix it at the time.
It's the state's response.
But the state response of trying to bury everything means it ends up costing so much more and people's lives.
What gets me as well is, and again, quite reminiscent of the post office, this guy that, you know, we just spoke to there, Jai, was like, I keep calling them up and can't get through to anyone, no response. And that is so...
Well, you can't now, because half of them are working from home. So it's anyway.
It is this horrible computer says no mentality that just seems the blanket drops down, and I just wish that gent and everyone else, you know, stick with it. Look at what Mr. Bates has achieved. Come on, let's get it together.
Actually, not often I agree with Sammy Wilson, but actually he's bringing this up in Parliament, and David Davis, and, you know, their MPs are waking up. I think that what you'll find is the outing of the scandalous of what happened in the post office drama is now going to affect so many other things. And I think we're going to have a different lens on these scandals.
Well, hopefully. That would
we hope. We hope.
Thank you both very much.